These characters might not be black, but they're still invited to the barbecue. Let me explain.
You're smart motherfuckers, that's right.
We are in the month of March, which means it is no longer February, which means it is no longer Black History. And like March, these characters are close to being black, but they're not black exactly. So here's a list of unofficial black characters from my childhood and up to now. Some of these characters I genuinely thought were 100% black. Others I just racially drafted into my black delegation. So let's get started with the #1 draft pick.
We in black delegation.
Choose Harvey Dent, Two-Face.
Now, I cannot be the only one out there that legitimately thought that Two-Face was black. I know I'm not the only one. There's others out there like me. But there are very valid reasons for this. Several, in fact. First off, Batman the Animated Series took a lot of design inspiration from the 1989 film, like Selena Kyle having blonde hair or the Penguin's more deformed look. So why wouldn't I think with Billy D playing Harvey Dent in the movie that in the cartoon he was also black? I just thought he was this light-skinned brother, and in some scenes, he even looks like he got a mini fro. Another reason why I thought Harvey Dent was black was the voice, which this is a common trope amongst a lot of these characters. Harvey Dent is excellently voiced by white actor Richard Mall, which at the age of 6, I didn't pay attention to voice actors, let alone their race. Mall gives a great, deep, gravely ominous voice to Dent. But you know who else has a very similar voice? Tony Todd.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come.
Big Bad Harv?
Speaking.
It appears you and Harvey are having trouble again.
The guy's a wimp.
And for some reason, at the age of 6, I watched the horror film Candyman starring Tony Todd. And from that point on, anytime I heard a deep, ominous, gravely voice, I associated that character with being black. I've always liked the idea of Two-Face being black anyway. Comics are historically non-inclusive because there was mostly white writers creating white characters. Some of those characters are fan favorites, some of my favorites, like Batman's Rogues Gallery, which is predominantly white. So I welcome the chance for characters to be race-bended to provide much needed diversity. So weirdly enough, Poison Ivy and Harvey Dent is the first biracial couple I saw on television. I thought, that's interesting, that's something new. And turns out it was all a lie. Granted, it was just a scheme and she tried to kill him by the end of the episode, but you know, couples fight. And it totally still counts. The next character on this list also comes from the DCAU, which is Lex Luthor. Now, you cannot tell me even to this day that Lex Luthor from Superman the Animated Series wasn't black. I mean, this dude is definitely 100% black. When I was a kid, the Superman cartoon didn't really appeal to me. Some episodes were just really boring, especially compared to the very beloved, I love so much, Batman the Animated Series. But there's one character who I always enjoyed watching, and that was Lex Luthor. I thought it was really cool that the arch nemesis of Superman, the world's most powerful superhero, was a black man who used nothing but his intellect and ingenuity to combat the Man of Steel. So why did I think he was black? Well, just look at him. He looks like he and Jay-Z are about to drop the Blueprint 3. And this picture looks like some brothers posted up at the club. Hey man, look at that girl over there.
Psh, I've been there, done that. The chick's crazier than the Joker.
I thought Les was just light skinned, like members of my own family. Like seriously, this Lex Luthor is darker than my mama. I mean, just look at him compared to Senator Cory Booker. Cory Booker would be like the best live action adaptation of Lex Luthor ever. I mean, I'm not saying he's like, you know, trying to take over the world through political means and stuff. I mean, if he is, he's not doing a great job, didn't even get nominated. But anyway, I digress. But it turns out Lex's look was actually inspired by the actor Telly Savalas, who is Greek, so take that for what it's worth. And again, that deep voice also fooled me at the time, as he was voiced by the great Clancy Brown. The weird thing is that in Justice League cartoon, they changed up his character design, making his skin much lighter, which resulted in him not really looking as black. Let's switch channels here for a little bit and let's go to Nickelodeon, and that brings us to Skeeter from Doug. Skeeter's complexion might have been greenish blue, but he was clearly portrayed as black. From his love of rap and beatboxing and dancing, which at the time wasn't as popular across demographics as it is today, to his father, who just had the look of a black father. Tired from a long day of work, as if his boss is some young hotshot white guy who he trained himself. He just wants some peace and quiet. Okay, maybe this is just me projecting my own tired, hardworking black father onto a character and interpreting him as black, but oh well. The interesting thing is, according to the creator of Doug, Skeeter is not black. He's not any race. Jim Jenkins, the creator of Doug, said this: "It's pretty common knowledge that Skeeter was African American. And I love that because I did not consciously set out for that to be the case. I just thought he looked good blue." Doug executive producer, Doug Campbell, said the show initially wanted to go around tackling race by making the characters different colors. He had this to say: "Look, we're not black, we're not Mexican, but we want the cartoon to speak to all groups. How do we get past the barrier or ethnicity?" And Jim said, "Let's try coloring them all different colors." Hey Jim, you know, that sounds great and everything, but there's one little problem here with that. And that problem is that there are plenty of characters in Doug, including Doug and his family, that look as white as Patty's last name. Side note, I love mayonnaise. I don't care what Undercover Brother says.
He's gonna kill me! If you're going to pass in white America, you are going to have to learn to like mayonnaise. No!
But back to Doug. How about you don't create a show with only white people and everyone else as ambiguous? That's just weird on many levels. But to be honest, I still like Doug, but only the Nickelodeon version. So Skeeter might have been the first greenish, bluish, black character, but he definitely would not be the last. And that brings us to everyone's favorite anime dad who's not really a dad, and that is Piccolo. Piccolo checks off two boxes when it comes to being seen as black. He has a deep, gravely voice, and he is green. But for me, what really made Piccolo black was he just gave off this vibe of being a real G. Like, he kept it 100 all the time. Also, Piccolo stood out from the rest of the Z Fighters, something that many black people have felt even at early ages. Plus, Piccolo's teaching or parenting style to Gohan also seemed very black. At times, unrelenting, expects you to work hard, no shortcuts, harsh at times, but underneath there was a deep, unwavering love. Reminds me of my own parents in some ways. Also, Piccolo just didn't get the respect he deserves as a father to Gohan, just like a lot of black men don't. There's often negative stereotypes about black men being good fathers. But Piccolo has to be black because if he's not, the next closest thing in Dragon Ball Z to being black is Mr. Popo, and that's just racist, which almost highlights an even bigger diversity problem in anime. Side note, that includes sexism. Like honestly, when was the last time you saw a female-led shonen anime since Sailor Moon? I mean, geez, if you just play Jump Force, it's a sausage fest. I digress. Next up is another green alien, one of my favorite superheroes, and that is Martian Manhunter, aka J'onn J'onzz. Again, there's the green and deep voice thing. Also, Martian Manhunter is often voiced and portrayed by black actors. But even without all that, Martian Manhunter is without a doubt black because he epitomizes the black experience in history. Just think about it. In the Justice League cartoon, he comes from a world where green Martians were minding their own business, living in relative peace, then boom, here comes the white Martians, warring on their home, obliterating and destroying their cities, and erasing their cultures. But still stealing, or we could say appropriating, the green Martian's abilities and traits. Martian Manhunter being ripped away from his family because of evil is all too familiar a story in black history. Next on this list is Panthro. Honestly, I don't know why Panthro was black, but he is. Maybe because he's a mechanic and my dad was always working on cars, or maybe because, like Piccolo, he just stood out from the rest of the characters. Same goes for the guy from Cowboy Bebop. Okay, this next character, this one might hurt some of you. It hurt me. I literally just learned this like 3 weeks ago, that this character wasn't actually black, and that is Bishop from X-Men. I was in shock. That's right, despite his appearance in X-Men Days of Future Past, Bishop ain't black. He's actually Aboriginal Australian. Who knew? Like sure, his hair isn't the typical black hairstyle for men, but I just thought he had a perm, like the pimp named Slickback, but longer. Next up are the Gargoyles, specifically Goliath and Damana. Now Goliath is voiced by legendary actor Keith David, who also voiced Spawn. Again, that deep, gravely voiced thing got me. And then there's Damana, who has the voice of Tony Braxton. So yeah, despite not a strong case, they were still black. Which this brings me to my final point of the video, and that's the question of why did I and other kids and even people today identify these characters as black? Common thread is a lack of representation, of course. Growing up, we were starving for representation, so we accepted or took what we could, even if characters weren't even human. We just wanted to find a place, a character we can call our own. Having that representation almost reaffirms your own existence. It places you into make-believe worlds you love, but that maybe didn't allow people to look like you otherwise. But hey, at least things seem to be getting better. We're getting far more anime with black characters in it. Cartoons have come a long way since the 90s, so hopefully things continue to get better. Let me know the characters that you feel are black or any that I might have missed. Alright, if you like this video, if you got something out of it, please like, share it, consider subscribing, and sincerely, thank you for watching. I'm out.